Hello, welcome to my day 4 discussion on Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. I streamed for about, I think it was almost 6 hours or something today, so we're making some great ground. We just stopped right before the very first level 97 quest where we gotta ram a train into a dome. It's freaking insane. So first, I want to talk about the Dawn Servant ceremony, and I know it seems weird. I would start off with this XIV, but that just leads to a lot of stuff dealing with the City of Gold and where the future that we'll be heading towards in day 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however long it will take me to beat this game. So I just want to talk about the ceremony at first because it was just a lot of fun. It was so cool to see Wooklamont there, to celebrate, and to also look, we predicted this. I believe I mentioned this also in my discussion videos, but if Konat and Wooklamont were together as co-Dawn servants, and that seemed to be the case. I love that when Wooklamont revealed the next saga in the Tulliola story, that she was like, I'm really glad you chose it because it's both of us in this slate. It's I'm really glad that you accept it, because that would have been embarrassing if I added you to the slate if you just didn't accept it. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. It was awesome to see everyone celebrating, everyone's so happy. We also saw for the first time the giants here at Tulliola, which was awesome. It's just showing the unity of all the characters together. The fact that at the end of that ceremony, we got to talk with everyone, we got to visit to everyone, talk. It was just such a great time because it really showed just how awesome and how much Wooklamont affected everyone's lives. And then this is where Dawntrail's weakest moment occurred. Everyone was like, awesome, we can't get into the City of Gold, which I'll speak more deeply about the City of Gold once we talk about the Skydeep. But essentially everyone's like, oh, we can't go into the City of Gold because look, the gates are closed, I don't know what to do, so we'll just hang around until we get some more information, And then we're like, okay, so what do you want to do, Warrior of Light? And we're like, oh, we just want to travel to Yoctel. I'm like, okay, cool. And so we go with Urnville and we go visit Yoctel, and game just slows to a slug pace. The pacing was so bad. Look, I love how beautiful the environment is. It's a western town, right? Look, I'm from North America. I'm from California, okay? The sky that I got to see in the game just reminded me of my own sky that I see. The environment looked beautiful, looked amazing. It's oh yeah, this is my backyard kind of thing. So I'm not dissing anything of the environments. The environments were amazing. We finally got to hear American accents for the first time in Final Fantasy XIV. That was incredible. It definitely felt weird, for sure. It felt weird, but it was incredible. Also means that I gotta get myself well known in the voice acting community so that I can voice the character in Final Fantasy XIV now, because now it's a possibility. Either way, it was just the quest was very slow because the pacing for the Rite of Succession was so good. It was amazing. We learned about each of the nations, everything held so much importance. And then we got the mystery of the City of Gold. And then the game was we can't solve this mystery right now. So hey, go off, have fun adventuring because that's what you like to do. And it was just we're gonna find the bandits. And we found out the sheriff works for the bandits. And it's oh God. It's so boring. It felt like they were stopping us at every moment to not take the train. And I'm come on. So that was frustrating. And then it wasn't until the whole incident where we got the train up and running, it starts heading out, and then the dome gets created. And we're what the fuck is happening? Lightning starts striking down. We see a bunch of these crazy looking spaceships heading straight for Tulliola. And that's where we will begin talking about Zoraal. Zoraal was not expecting his crazy evil turn, right? I was expecting him to be a little bit evil because someone mentioned to us that I can't believe a sibling would hold this much hate towards another sibling. And that was Zoraal looking at Wooklamont after he lost the culinary competition, right? And what we see that him and Zoraal approached the City of Gold. They knocked out Keteram, took all the keystones, unlocked the door, and then they had the artifact that they stole from Guru Lajaja to then access the City of Gold. And then Zoraal was for the first time, had an expression on his face, and it was the most evil expression in the game. And he cuts down his seer, and then he is speaking to a being on the other side of the gate. And he was help me conquer my world. And then they said, we will, in exchange for, and then we cut off. We don't know what that exchange is for. But then that's when we start seeing all the technology come from beyond the dome, which is very interesting, right? So, Urnville's hometown becomes this electrical dome where all the spaceships are coming from. It's like, but the city of Gold's gates are not there. So I'm like, why is the dome over here? So it's very confusing. There might be another gate. There might be multiple city gates, and that one's a gate for like military. I'm not quite sure, but there's probably multiple gates. He actually then takes over Tulliola. And that scene was so horrifying to see this beautiful town that we saw that was brimming with beautiful music, bright colors, to see it be destroyed, to see people and characters that we have seen get killed. Even it was really cool to see Baklu Jaja like join us, like he's fighting with us, dude. It was so cool, but at the same time, it was just so depressing to see how much destruction was happening in this beautifully wonderful, peaceful town. Like I said, I just wasn't expecting the story to take this turn. I was really expecting us to like go through the city of Gold and maybe find that it's like there's some bad things happening there, but happening in the city of Gold. But no, it was happening right here in Tulliola. And the game does something that I found so beautiful. There's the point on the Winged Walk where Wuklama is always proclaiming what she wants to do for prosperity and for peace, and she looks out all of Tololia and is like shouting her name, right? She does this multiple times in the quest. This time in the game, when you approach that same spot, you just see this ominous ships in the sky waiting to attack and destroy everything. And I was like, damn, they're using this vista against us. I've been talking about how amazing the vistas are, and now we see this ominous ship in the background that was like crazy. This was really cool. This was really awesome. I'm loving where the story is going so far. I'm really happy that the Yaktal part of the questing was like very short so that we can get back to the real action, the real thing that I care about. It was so cool. But lastly, I did want to talk about one of the most coolest dungeons in the game, the Sky Deep Cenote dungeon. And this one was like both super cool and super horrifying, because like the dungeon is broken up into 3 parts, right? The first part of the dungeon is like the burial grounds for the Mamuljas. You have all these like creepy beings all around, and if you look in like the waters, you can see all the like pots that they held all the dead 2-headed Mamuljas there. And that was horrifying. I was like, yikes, that's terrifying. But then as you go in further, you see the Yokyul quarries, and it's so cool. Like the designs are so completely different. It was like really cool, because it's funny because as you're going through the burial grounds, you see this like mining shaft, and you drop down to mining shaft, and then you enter the quarry. Then you see all these like crazy like stone stuff that have been like cut out and everything, and you start fighting even like stone automaton, which was like kind of crazy. Like, whoa, what the heck is this? I've never seen this for any of the Yokyuls before. But you start to explore and start to investigate, and then you get to a very specific moment here where it transitions from the Yokyuls to this mysterious new ancient technology where like the stones are all glowing, and you're like, what the heck? And I believe it was like Alice or someone mentioned that like it feels like it's like aether infused stones. And as we get further and further, we see this like one of the most stunning views in all of Dawntrail. We see the gates to the Golden City, and we look at it, it's like has this beautifully purplish gold tone to it. It looks so beautiful, especially with the new lighting and the texture work. It was incredible. I can't believe it. It was so beautiful. I tried taking multiple pictures, and we fought the boss. The boss is really cool. Yeah, the boss is really cool, but the Golden City was so freaking amazing. And the funniest mention about this was Alice was like, I sure hope this is not the Alligans again. And that made me so, I was laughing because honestly, a lot of like this, like Alice was like listening to the community, right? Because when they showed us Solution 9, which was all this future technology, because keep in mind, during like live letters, like the developers would talk about like, they would tease you about certain stuff, and they teased us about a place called Solution 9. And it was this very futuristic technological area. And they showed us an image. I believe they showed us like, during the media tour, I think they showed like an actual like video of going through Solution 9. But from what I've seen, I've just seen the image, and a lot of people were like, "I hope it's not Alligans again," because that's kind of where like if you see futuristic technology, the story always goes back to the Alligans. And so Alisei says that, and it's like, oh, that's exactly what the community was also saying, like, oh my god, Alligans again? But this time, no, it's not. In fact, Guru Lajo was waiting for us, and he was like congratulating Wuklama on like finally finding the City of Gold, and he even mentioned like, yeah, we never figured out how to open up the gate. But he's like, hey, let's come back home, let's go ahead and celebrate you being the Dawn Servant, and I'll tell you a bunch of other things about it. And when we go back, right, he mentions this all to Kryl, Wuklama, and Conan. And what he tells them, the backstory behind finding the gate. And what we learn is that beyond the gate, that was where Kryl's parents were. They came out of the gate, they gave Galfu, like Kryl, and then they gave him the artifact which opens up the gate. And then they had it go back. For some reason, they had to go back. They could not stay, but they still wanted to bring their daughter out. So we still don't know what that entails or what that means, which was really cool. So it was really cool to learn that, oh, Kryl is not from here. We learn that she is from another reflection, because during this whole moment where we're discussing about the City of Gold, Y'shtola mentions that like, oh, this gate is most likely leads to another reflection. And for some reason, I didn't even assume or think at all that this was another reflection. Now, I still don't know the truth about this, but because the developers already tease us that there is a place that you get to visit called Solution 9, it makes me believe that this is the reflection. This is the 9th reflection. What else? Oh, and Galuf also does some lore drops for us. So Galuf is looking at all the stone technology, all the aether infused in the stones, and he's like, this is not Allagan, this is not Mihachi, this is not Nymphian. This seems more like Southeast Islanders for the technology. And I was like, have we ever heard of any of these names besides the Alligans? So already we're getting some crazy lore about other ancient civilizations that existed before our current era of humans, which makes sense, right? Because if the Alligans are from the past, right, that means that they exist in Eorzea. So if we look at Taral, who are the ancient citizens that exist in Taral? And I assume that all these other ones are based off other ancient people from the different continents. So that was also super cool and super awesome to hear as well. So I greatly love that. But yeah, that is it for day 4 of my discussion video. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was like a lot of fun talking about because there was a lot of things happening, things that I liked, things that I didn't like, but ultimately we are back on track for some crazy stuff. Excited to fire a freaking train into the defenses. My one hope before I leave is that I fingers crossed, right? Can I cross my fingers here? That's close enough. Is that I hope it's a dungeon, the train situation, because it would be really cool to have an opening, because much like the Jungle Cruise that we saw at the first dungeon where we're on like a moving device, I hope we do the same thing for the train, and then we have a moment where we crash the train in, and then we continue the dungeon through. Because I think what they have shown us, and I hope this is the future of Final Fantasy XIV, is that dungeons tell more of the story. The coolest thing about the dungeon we visited, the Sky Deep Sinnoh, is that I was not expecting us to find the gates to the City of Gold. I was not expecting that. I was expecting that to be shown off in a story or something. But the fact that the dungeon went from the burial grounds, we went through the quarries, to eventually seeing the gates of the City of Gold was so cool, because it was just unexpected, and I think that was just some amazing form of storytelling that didn't require characters to over-explain themselves. And I think that is something that I hope we see more in the future for more future dungeons. But that's it from me. Excited to play more for day 5. All right, see you then. Bye.